everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah, and on this channel we talk about all things music ed, especially ways to make your elementary music classroom more meaningful and joyful for you and your students. Today's video is going to be all about how I teach rhythm in kindergarten. Before I dive in, I want to say if you find this video helpful, give it a like or subscribe to the channel, or just share it with somebody that you think would find it valuable. All of those things help people find and learn from my content. Now, let's dive into how I teach rhythm in kindergarten. For kindergarten rhythm, for me, what I do is really just solidify and make sure students are absolutely solid in differentiating between 1 and 2 sound words. We typically don't even touch stick notation or note head notation. We do things like dot notation, which I'll talk about. We'll do a lot of clapping, vocalizing, moving, things that really help solidify 1 versus 2. I have a blog post that goes into a lot of detail about this as well. It's also got a bunch of different freebies that you can use in your classroom, things like worksheets, manipulatives, things you can magnet to your board, stuff like that, things that will help you sort of take these strategies that I'm going to give you and make them happen in your own classroom. So make sure you go to adifferentmusician.com and check out my post. I think it's called like Teaching Rhythm in Kindergarten, but I will link that below. The key that I find to starting this 1 and 2 syllable or sound concept is making sure that you're using age-appropriate things that really work for students on their level. And because I personally like to sort of theme music classes, so right now I'm filming this in February. I'm actually going back to work in a few days after a 5-month maternity leave. So I'm gonna be diving right in with kindergarten with Valentine's words that have 1 or 2 sound syllables. So making sure you're meeting kids on their level, doing things that are maybe a little bit silly, somewhat creative. You don't wanna get too technical right away. As I said before, I don't even do stick notation in kindergarten. That may change in the future, like at the end of the year, but I wanna make sure that by the time like first grade hits, they are super prepared and they can echo patterns. They can identify from maybe like secret pictorial patterns, like what the 1 and 2 sound words are. And of course, to prepare students with 1 and 2 sound words or patterns, you really want to make sure that you are reinforcing, helping them practice steady beat. I don't know about you, but when students come into my classroom, like in the fall, I'm talking about kindergartners who are 5 years old, or like even some are even still 4 years old, making sure that they are getting as much beat practice as possible, being able to keep a steady beat. And even if that means by the time spring rolls around and they are still looking to you to mimic what you're doing, to find that steady beat, that is okay. I think consistency is more important than saying, well, by December, I want all of my students to be able to independently find and keep the beat. There's a lot of stuff involved there. If you do practice the beat consistently, no matter what they're doing, whether it's finding it independently themselves or mimicking another student or mimicking you, it's all consistent practice that's going to help them be able to differentiate those 1 and 2 sounds. My opening routine is just finding the beat, keeping the beat. So when they come into the room, they walk around the circle and I'm either leading it or I end up being the caboose or whatever, and I'm keeping the beat in a certain way. So we usually start with clapping, we might switch, and I might be asking them to follow me. Switch, tap your shoulders, tap your knees, stop. We're going to stay standing in the circle. We're going to stomp our feet. We're going to tap one foot. We're going to tap our nose. We're going to tap our head. We're going to do a 2-finger clap. All these different kinesthetic strategies, things you can use to help them find that beat. Use them, do all kinds of stuff. You can add manipulatives too. You can add things like, you can add scarves, you can add rhythm sticks, things that are going to help them keep the beat. And with kindergarten, I'm usually leading them, but after a while, I think if you want to pause and say, let me see you keep the beat, go for it. Like just see, and that's a good way to kind of check in with, I keep knocking into my piano here. That's a good way to sort of visually check in with students, who is seemingly doing it independently, like who is looking over and trying to match somebody. And just because they're looking over and trying to match a friend doesn't mean that they couldn't do it themselves. It might mean like, my best friend's over there and I want to do what they're doing. So, it's not a foolproof way, but as much as you are going to model and give them a good example of how to keep the beat, how to find it, how to keep it, how to show it, let them do some of those things on their own too. Another way to practice beat keeping is in songs and games that you are doing in your class. So last year, my kindergartners, we played Bluebird. So you can just have, 4 hearts, for example, up taped to the board or drawn on the board, whatever, and you can sing it and tap those hearts. You can go Bluebird, bluebird, through my window, bluebird, bluebird, you get the idea. You can have a student come up and do it. They can tap, they can be the beat keeper, the beat leader, whatever you want to do. By around the fall is when I start having them echo patterns, and those patterns will start to use some variety in the form of long and short sounds. My cajon is there, so I'm actually going to grab it and show you what I mean. This is my cajon. What I will do is add an accompaniment that is rhythmically interesting. And then I'll just start doing those long and short patterns that they will echo for me. 1, 2, here I go. Long, long, short, short, long. Short, 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 long, long. And you can use the words long and short. That is great. But as I said before, I like themes. So if we are getting into the fall, we might pick fall words like acorn and leaf. There we go. Wow. Leaf and acorn. So I might leaf, acorn, acorn, leaf. Acorn, acorn, leaf, leaf. Acorn, leaf, acorn, leaf. And after we've done a few rounds of those with, whatever words you've chosen, I might ask them which one of those words has 2 sounds and which one of those words has 1 sound. This is a moment where you can do turn and talks. So music class, probably a lot of classes, I feel like, have a strong element of teacher asks a question, 1 person answers, or 2 people, 3 people answer. But if you do things like turn and talks with questions like this, you are sort of stepping back a bit, which is good because music teachers are on all the time. It's like you're performing all day. It's draining. So any moment, any time you can take to sort of step back and facilitate and let students sort of lead a conversation or answer questions like this between themselves is great. Take it. So they can do turn and talks. They can share with the people nearby which one of those words you think has 1 sound, which has 2 sounds, and explain your answer. How do you know? So that's when I might circulate and check in with students. So checking in when students are doing turn and talks is a good way for you to step back a bit. All of this feeds into that theory about sound before sight, and that's how students learn how to speak, right? They learn to speak before they can read, rather, is what I mean. So we learn how to speak and feel patterns before we can read them. But you can keep this rhythm going and make eye contact with 1 person in the circle, speak them something to echo back. The next person, make eye contact, speak something to have them echo back. Go boop, 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 all the way around the circle. That's another individual check-in. That's something that you can use to sort of assess where different students are at. Once you've done a lot of practice with oral echoing, just putting my drum down, with echoing, with speaking, with playing, performing, whatever, you can start to move to visuals. And the visuals that I start with are typically pictures. Like their cartoon, their pictures, their clip art, graphics of things that we may have been talking about. So in the fall, I'm going to find graphics of acorns and leaves and maybe apple and pumpkin and pie, apple and pie, things that make sense like for the season that we're in, and start using those as a way to have students get practice reading. I do have access to a projector in all my classrooms, so I put these in Google Slides and I just put them up on the board, but you can also print, you can print pictures out, you can laminate them and put like little magnet strips on the back. You can put them with their regular magnets, whatever, you can switch the order. That's another way to sort of have students come in and try these things for themselves, is you can print off, 4 pies and 4 pumpkin pictures and combine them into groups of 4. You can build one yourself. You can have someone come up and build it. You can ask for students to volunteer to echo it. You can say, who wants to perform this? Choose a friend to do it with you. Just any kind of different like combinations you can make of you leading or a student leading or 2 students practicing, or things that help them build their confidence and their leadership skills, and help them realize that like your classroom is a safe place for you to experiment and like try things out. A jumping off point from there might be, okay, so we have pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie. Can you think of another pie that sounds like that? And they might say apple or chocolate, cookie pie. it doesn't even have to be a real kind of pie, as long as they can find other words that have those two sounds in them. So far, you've been providing them with these words. You've been providing them with corn, scarecrow, acorn, leaf, pumpkin, pie, squash, green beans, whatever. But if they can start to find their own words, and this works really well in around Thanksgiving. I have a few different activities that I'll link below that are great. I have fall ones, I have Thanksgiving ones, but because this is the time of the year that I would usually start that in, where they're like sorting words into categories, 1 or 2 sounds, or they're drawing 4 different pictures, and it has to be, some of them have to be 1 or 2 sounds. I have a bunch of those different activities that I'll link down below, but helping them helping them be more independent as they're doing this. You're not giving them everything all the time. You're having them jump off from that and think of their own things as well.